Story: The Antique Clock. In a small village, nestled between deep forests and remote hills, there is an old antique shop that sells items that seem to have been forgotten by time. The shop owner is an old man named Min, whose age is unknown because he always keeps his past a secret. Mr. Min rarely talks and almost never leaves the shop, except when he needs to go to the market to buy things to sell. One day, a young man named Sun, looking for a special gift for his girlfriend's birthday, decides to stop by Mr. Min's shop. When he enters, he immediately feels a very strange atmosphere, as if time has stopped here, and everything is old, faded, as if covered by a thin layer of dust. Sun browses through the shelves filled with antiques, from ceramic vases to blurry paintings. However, the only thing that caught his attention was an antique clock, sitting on a small wooden table in the corner of the room. This clock was very special. It was unlike any clock Sun had ever seen. Its surface was intricately carved, with soft floral motifs and finely engraved numbers. But what made Sun feel strange was that this clock had no hands. The clock face still showed the numbers clearly, but instead of hour and minute hands, there was a small dot in the center, which strangely changed from light to dark. Sun approached the clock, and Mr. Min, from behind the counter, spoke up, "That is a very special clock. You will definitely find it very interesting. Can you tell me more about it?" Sun asked, unable to hide his curiosity. Mr. Min smiled, but his expression became serious. "This watch is not something that everyone can understand. It is not just a decoration, but a door that opens to the past and the future. But don't let it take over your mind." Sun still didn't understand much, but he felt a strange attraction from the watch. He decided to buy it, although he didn't know exactly why. Back home, Sun put the watch on the table and stared at it. A strange feeling rose in his heart. The small dot in the center of the watch began to emit a dim light, and then suddenly, images like a slow-motion movie appeared in his mind. He saw himself, standing right in this room, but everything was different. The watch was pointing at a time that he couldn't understand. The flashing images were like memories he had never experienced. Sun suddenly woke up. He shivered when he realized that a long period of time had passed without him knowing. He looked at the clock, but this time, the small dot had stopped shining. Everything around him began to change. Everything in the room seemed to start to blur, no longer clear. Sun tried to stand up, but his body seemed to have lost all feeling, as if frozen in space. Suddenly, a voice rang out in his head, "Don't look at the clock for too long, it will take you to places you can't return to." Sun tried to take the clock off the table, but it was as if held by an invisible force. He felt like he was being pulled away, unable to resist. When he woke up again, Sun found himself in a dark forest, where the only light was from the clock. It was not the forest he knew, but a desolate, quiet place, with ancient trees covered in moss and thick fog. He didn't understand how he got here, but one thing was clear: the watch was still in his hand, and it began to make strange sounds. "Where is this?" Sun wondered, but there was no answer. There was only the sound of the wind whistling through the branches, and the sound of the watch like a whisper from the past. Sun tried to find a way out, but all he could see was the darkness of the forest, with no way out. He understood that the watch had taken him to another space, a space from which he could not return, unless he understood the mystery it contained.